This is the Finding the Lighthouse Diamond Thief Lab for 2019. Here is the problem. It was a dark and dreadful night when we discovered the disappearance of the priceless Lighthouse diamond. We all thought it was safe and sound in our super secure vault in the basement of the You Gotta Have It jewelry store. But alas, the only thing we found was a note and a bag of white powder left in the vault. The thief left them there to tease and taunt us. How humiliating this has been. We've called you in because we need your professional help in solving this mystery. After analyzing the evidence that was left by the crook, by using the scientific method and studying the profiles of the suspects that have been named, your team of police scientists will present your report to the panel of honorable judges, or me, for possible sentencing of our criminal. We hope we have called in the right scientific team. You, good luck. So first off, we are not going to fill in this part for the video, but if you did this in class, wow. Sorry, phone. You would have filled this in first with your two. Man, it doesn't like my hand. Sorry. Okay. Hand's not going to go there. And then transferred it over to there. Here are our 6 possibilities for the mystery powder. Flour, cornstarch, salt, baking soda, sugar, and plaster of Paris. So we're going to write those in the powder names: flour, cornstarch, salt, baking soda, sugar, and plaster of Paris. And we're going to do each step together. So for all of these, we're going to do the close-ups first, and we'll write down our observations for that, because this data table is going to be used when we are comparing our results to the mystery powder to figure out who our criminal is. Alright, for the instructions on the close-up observation, it says take a small sample, very small, of the white powder assigned to you and put it in the petri dish. Look at it carefully using the hand magnifier. Record what you see in your worksheet. So, you can see that I got all of the samples into a petri dish. I got my super awesome magnifier that works so good it breaks my phone. Alright, so here is the close-up of flour. Wonder if we put it like this, if it'll work. Wow. So we have a powdery substance, obviously. I'm going to smear some of it around and see what we got. Hang on. Okay, so smearing it around, it was really soft, fine powder. You couldn't really feel the granules. And you can't really see any distinct shape. So what I would say is a very fine powder. Okay, and that's what I wrote. Soft, fine, which means really small powder. Alright, this is the cornstarch. There we go. I tried to spread it out with my finger, and you can see that it did a little bit, but this powder is so fine that it doesn't want to separate from itself, so it kind of stays together. So it's really soft, it's really fine, and, oops, my bad. Yeah, it just doesn't really smooth very well. Oh, look, a fingerprint. Nice. So for that, I said it was a very soft, because you can feel it. It is softer feeling than the flour. Also really fine. Sorry about the F. It's a little weird. And it's also powder, so you can't see any defined shapes. So that's our cornstarch. So this is our salt, and already you can see that they are adorable tiny cubes. They're squares, right? That is precious. Let's try and move some around. See them a little bit better. That's so adorable. So these are granular, meaning that they have like a shape, right? And the shape is definitely a cube. Look at that one right there in the middle. Super awesome. Right, so I had granular. Pretty sure that's how you spell it, but I could totally be wrong on that. So granular, meaning that I could feel the different pieces and you can separate out like one piece of it. Cube shapes. That's a U. Sorry that it kind of looks like an A. Alright, baking soda. Alright, so the baking soda, you can see that you can get the pieces to separate. So you can see the little granules. They're very small pieces. And it's kind of powdery, but it also kind of feels like a granular feel. Like you can feel the little pieces of it, like if you're walking in the sand, you know? And I just realized that it says salt right there. But it's not salt, it's baking soda, I promise. Right? Right, so I said they were small, granular pieces. I couldn't determine the shape because I couldn't get a close enough look. Right, onto sugar. Alright, so I kind of spilled the sugar everywhere, but I guess it works out pretty nice. So you can see that sugar is also really granular. It has some cube shapes in it, but it also looks like it has, I guess I can't focus that much. Sorry. Looks like we also have these just irregular shapes. So they're granular also, but they're also pretty irregular. They're not all uniform like the salt was. So I said granular, irregular shapes. I wonder if this eye doesn't belong. All right, plaster of Paris. Okay, so the plaster of Paris is not really that smooth feeling. I had a big piece, so I'm breaking it up and trying to just sprinkle it kind of everywhere. So sorry for my phone about to go crazy. All right, let's get the magnifier. Try and find some small pieces that we can look at. Oops. So we can see that these are kind of granular. They look a little circular, looking at these little pieces. So it's a granular circle. It is kind of rough feeling, so this is not soft. And these pieces are kind of, I think they're kind of large. So that's what I'm going to write. Alright, so I said that they're quote-unquote rough because they're not super rough, but they're roundish pieces, and it is also powdery because if you look at it just with your eyes, it's a powder. It's definitely not the same looking as salt and sugar. So it's powder-y, but not like the flour, corn, or cornstarch or baking soda. Alright, the next test is going to be the vinegar test. So looking at the instructions, it says make a small volcano, right, out of the powder with an indentation at the top. That's what makes it look like a volcano. On one side of our petri dish, so one half of it will have that volcano, so that the vinegar can be dropped into it without running off. Place 1 or 2 drops of vinegar and watch for any reaction or changes that might occur. Okay, so here's my volcano of flour. It's kind of a lot, so my bad. Alright, 1 to 2 drops in the center, and we'll see if we have any indicators of a chemical change. So you can see that it has beaded, which is kind of a weird word when you think about it. But I don't, actually I do. I don't think you guys can see it, but let's see. You see the little baby bubbles? There's some baby bubbles in there. Oh, now you can see it. Yeah, so I tried it again. Definitely looks like there's a little bit of bubbles. So we had some very small bubbles. Oh, we should add that. Very small bubbles. All right, cornstarch. Sorry, not even the right word. 1, 2. So it's soaked in pretty fast. Can't tell if those are bubbles or not. Hold, please. Here's a better view. So I don't see any bubbles. I'm trying to look around my phone. Let's use the magnifying glass. No bubbles. So this is not reacting. So no reaction. Look at that first piece. It like made a hard little bead. Oh, I broke it. Not that hard. So even though we didn't have a reaction, it does like soak into just a little bit and make it really hard. So I don't know how we want to write that. So maybe it was absorbed and it made hard. I don't know. It's got to be a better way, but that's all I can think of right now. Okay, here is the salt. Salt into the vinegar. And so you might think that's a color change. No, it's not. It just absorbed into there. Right, so no reaction, just absorbs or soaks in. So there was no reaction for salt and vinegar. It just soaked in. Alright, here's our baking soda. Ooh, I mean, we probably all saw this coming. But there is a reaction, produces a lot of bubbles, really nice sized bubbles, and if you remember, it also is endothermic, in that it gets cold, right? Alright, so large bubbles, and it was endothermic, cold. Like, I can totally spell endothermic, but what were we? Granular. Oh, look, I know how to spell it, I just messed it up. Alright, here's sugar. Sugar with vinegar. Alright, so that just behaved like the salt, right? And then it just soaked into our pile of sugar. I was just joking about. Apparently I do know how to spell granular. It's like when you change your answer choice from like A to some other answer and you were right the first time. Just don't think about it, just let your hand write. Alright, so no reaction, it just soaked in for the sugar. Plaster of Paris, last. Alright, plaster of Paris, here's a couple drops of vinegar. Oh, it soaks in pretty quick. So definitely not like the flour where it beaded. Oh, we should write that it beaded. That's a great idea. This one's soaked in and it looks gooey. Can we write that? I think we can. So there was no reaction, but it did soak in and get gooey. I was going to add also that it beaded initially, at first. Beaded at first. Cool. Okay, for iodine, make another small volcano out of the same powder on the other side of the petri dish. It's kind of important, other side. Be careful not to get the solution on you or your clothes. It will make a stain. On yourself, it'll only last a little while. Clothes, no comment. And write down your observations. So I already went and made them all ready. So here's flour. There's our iodine. Gonna use my pipette. Pretty sure I got it. Oh, sure did. Alright. Flour. Alright, wow. So, I don't think you guys can see this, but... Okay, never mind. You can totally see it now. That is... I gotta hold this, because it'll disappear. That is a definite color change, right? That's the black spot of death for pirates. So it's black, it did bead again, it's still beaded, so it's not even absorbing. So it beaded, and there was a color change, and that color change was black. Super cool. Next one, cornstarch. Oh, it's falling out. Oh, that's cool. You see it roll, and you can totally see the color change too. So that one is also, oops, sorry, that's my finger. It's beading, and we still have that color change, and it's black. Whoa, hold up on. I don't know if you guys can see it. It did not bead, so it absorbed. And it made a solid, just like with our vinegar, but now it's a black solid, except now it's covered. It's hard. There we go. So same thing. We had a color change that was black, and just like with the vinegar, it absorbed and made like a hard thing. Okay, this is the salt. Hang on. Alright. Alright, so this is soaking in. Let's just watch it for a while. Looks like... Put a dot right here so we can compare. Oh, it's got a bubble in it. Pop, 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 pop. It's not gonna, it's the bubble that won't pop. There we go. Now there's like 5 of them. It gave birth to other bubbles that don't pop. Drip. Bubbles. I hate bubbles. Okay. I'm gonna say there's like a little color change, maybe. No, I think it's just absorbing. Never mind. Alright, so no color change, no reaction, just soaked in. Okay, here's our baking soda. Did I say baking soda for the cornstarch? I don't remember anymore. I hope not. Well, that's weird. Look at that. Ooh. Bubbled. Let's do that again. That was awesome. Let me make another volcano. I get to do things twice because I'm the teacher. So look at that. Watch the color change. Ta-da! Bubbles. That's awesome. Cool. Alright, so I said yellow-orange. I wanted to write burnt orange because, you know, it is next to Austin, but I didn't. And it did also soak in. Okay, here is our sugar. Oh, I didn't make a... Here we go. I can't even see it. Alright. Oh, look, I spilled some on the table. That's okay. Look, there's a bubble. Ah. It's not because of a reaction, though. It's because... there we go. Pop. Just gonna leave it alone. So, looks like it just soaked in. Let's compare it to the salt. Look at that. It's totally different. Alright, so it does absorb like the salt, but we can see that like it gets yellow on the outside of the salt, so we're going to need to add that bit of info. Alright, so I added, it was yellow around the edges for the salt because that is the difference between that one and the sugar. Other than that, they're the same. There's no reaction and it just soaks in. Okay, now the last, our plaster of Paris. Look at that bubble. It's trying to mock me. Ooh. So I know it looks like bubbles, mostly because of that stinking bubble that just won't pop. Popped it with a pin, sucker. Those are not bubbles, that's just the plaster of Paris with iodine soaked in. But it did color change. That's like a puke, yellow, orange. Alright, and you can also see that this also made a solid. So like it made a solid. It's more yellowy now, but it looks like mustard. Now it looks like mustard. Before it was Grey Poupon, but I'm going to take out the golden. So there was a color change. That was yellow, and it did soak in and made a hard shape. Hard shape made hard. No, I'm just... Alright, for the heat test, we're placing a small amount of the same powder, white powder, on a flat piece of aluminum foil. We're doing it a little bit differently for this. We're going to see the reaction, if any, using heat, and it should not take long. And this thing is on high, and I can smell the heat, which I know that doesn't make any sense, but they're not that clean. So I made a boat, sorta. Flour, cornstarch, salt. Can I read the label now? Baking soda, sugar, plaster of Paris, right? So we're gonna put them on there, and we'll be back to see what happens. All right, so we can already see sugar. Oh, there's my finger. I thought it disappeared. So sugar is definitely having a color change, and it smelled good for about 2 seconds, and now it smells like burnt sugar, which is gross. I told you it was hot. Look at that. It's boiling already. Nasty. Alright, and it might be a little bit hard to see, but some of the plaster of Paris is turning black. See that? That's turning black, so that's just weird. Look at the sugar. Ugh. Plaster! Not gonna touch it with my finger because I know it's hot. Oh, don't want to put any. Oh, gross, gross. I think that black bit from the plaster of Paris was pop over from the sugar because nothing else is changing. It looks maybe a little bit darker there, but you can see that. So the salt is starting to melt. And the cornstarch is getting a little brown. These guys are hanging off the edge, so we'll have to do them next. I don't know if I want melted salt on my... I guess it's just changing color. So the salt's not melting, it's just changing color. Alright, so let's write some of these down. Alright, so now the flour is starting to change color. And you can kind of smell, I know you guys can't smell it, but I can smell it, and it smells a lot better than burnt sugar, but it's because it kind of smells like when I'm making bread in the bread maker. And yeah, cornstarch is definitely brown. The baking soda is being a party pooper and not doing anything. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the sugar looks like a half, or maybe a bowling ball, but like half a skull, because let's say it's an alien skull. Alright, so yeah, there's the salt, color change, don't want to draw on it. It's like, I don't know, what do you say, like gray with flecks of black spots. And then, yeah, I don't think the plaster of Paris is going to do anything either. Alright, so here's what we wrote. Nope. Okay, there we go. So for the flour, we had a color change, which was brown, and there was an odor, which was good. For the cornstarch, we had a color change also that was brown. For the salt, we had a color change that was gray with like these black dots. Sorry, I was looking again. Baking soda, no reaction. Sugar, really fast color change. Oh, color change. Let's say fast. Fast. It was golden, and then it went to black, and it had an odor also that was bad. For the plaster of Paris, no reaction. So this is part 1 of the Lighthouse Diamond Thief Lab. Stay tuned for part 2.